everybody, and welcome to The Void, a show dedicated to filling the void between being an employee and becoming self-employed. Most people refer to starting your own company as taking the leap, as if they're blindly jumping off a cliff and into the unknown. This show is here to help you understand that it doesn't have to be that way. As always, if you like what you're hearing on the show, please do us a favor and help share the show with somebody else who might also be wanting to start their own business. We saw an opportunity to help others understand that self-employment is well within your reach, and just as our businesses have grown organically and by word of mouth, we want this show to grow the same way. So if you see somebody asking questions, please drop them a link to the show. I'm your host, Mitch Smedley, and with me as always is David Hilton.
Mitch, buddy.
And Austin over here.
And Austin, our producer.
No big deal. I'm just
not sure how he wasn't fired, but yeah, he's here.
I'm just never introduced, but it's fine, guys.
Oh yeah. He's sniffling.
He'll be fine. You know what I need? I just need the soundboard over here so I can just like mute his channel.
That's how I know if I'm ever fired. I come in and the editing board is in front of Dave.
Today's your last day.
And he has the camera and it's like pointed at them. I just look at it and I'm just walk out.
Yeah, it's like almost old school radio disc jockeys with the whole sound, like all the sound effects at a push of a button.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Oh my god. Did you vote today?
Yeah.
I voted today.
I did.
I got my sticker on my hat. The guy's like, do you want... You know, usually they don't ask you. They just give you a sticker. He's like, do you want a sticker? I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course I want a sticker.
Want a sticker?
They didn't have stickers where I went, but I'm also an independent, so that explains a lot. We got voting pens.
Yeah, well, Blue Springs does the pens.
Oh, okay.
But this is the first year ever they ask for them back at the end.
They didn't ask for ours back.
And I'm like, what kind of socialistic voting platform is this?
Remember
like,
in COVID, whenever you had to, they had the sanitizing?
Yeah, they sanitized every pen. You put it back, put it in a bucket, and then they burned it and sacrificed it, and then threw some sanitizer on it, then
you weren't
shook
allowed
it out.
to turn it back in during COVID. They were like, you take that germ-infested thing with you.
Is that what
and
it
now
was?
they're like, please give that germ-infested thing back.
For me, it's the opposite.
So at mine, they had... So I filled it all out, and you just left the pen in the spot. No sanitation, no... I was like, okay.
Yeah.
We're back to not being a bunch of fucking jackasses all the time. Yeah. So, no, I voted today.
Everybody touched the same doorknob to get in here, but we're worried about a pen.
They propped the doors open and out at where I went.
Yeah.
So... to all of those that vote, good
Ours
job.
was pretty funny because they had this bell they were ringing every time somebody said it was their first time voting.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting in there, and we had a long ballot.
Dude, okay, so Jackson County, where we... Ours was probably the exact same.
It was probably close.
I live in Jackson County, but have a Grain Valley address. And you probably had, like, just a couple more questions for Blue Springs. But it was front and back.
We had a special one for independents.
It was...
Like just one.
Yeah, they all
It was
did.
Probably 30 to 40 questions.
You know what I fuck up on every time? And I do this... I intentionally say, okay, I'm going to look up all the judges this time.
Yep.
And then I don't. And then there's... So I did look up... So Missouri had 2 judges that were up. Mm-hmm. And so I looked them up on the Missouri Supreme Court.
Yep.
And so I looked them up. But then, like, the circuit judges, there were 30. And I was like, I don't have fucking time for this.
Yeah.
And every year, I'm like, okay, I'm going to look them up. I have 6 months. I know what I'm... And then, like, the day of, I'm like, oh, fuck, I forgot about the judges.
So
every freaking time.
I do kind of more of a passive thing. I pay attention to the controversial decisions that have come down, and then I make note of, like, okay, if I don't really agree with that decision, and it's the judge's doing, then... I'll vote them out.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by looking it up. So I always say, okay, I'm going to look up all the cases that were important and see what happened. And, man, every year I screw it up. But this year, at least I looked up the Supreme Court judges. I was like, okay, I know what I want to do on these. But the circuit ones, there were like 30.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a ton.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I don't look them up. I just keep track over the couple of years, and if there's one that's bad, like, so there was, it's kind of funny. There was one that was bad. Like, the way this trial ended was horrible. This woman's son was murdered in a road rage incident. And the person who murdered her son is still free to this day, waiting trial, and he's allowed to drive to work and back every day. He murdered somebody in a road rage incident, and he's allowed to drive to and from work.
So that judge is out for you.
Well, so I messaged her and I asked her. I said, is this a problem with the judge? And she said, actually, it's not. The judge is being really cool. This is a problem with the prosecuting attorney.
Oh, was it Jackson County?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Jean Peters Baker?
Yeah, yeah.
Mitch didn't want to say her name. She's a fucking cunt.
Yeah.
And she should be burned at the stake.
So here I am ready to add that judge to my list of no's, and she was like, no, he's actually being pretty cool. So, but that's how I handle judges.
Yeah.
And if I, like, no news is good news for me. I'm like, hey, if I haven't heard about them, they're probably doing a pretty good job.
Yeah.
So,
and that's
how I look at
we
judges.
talked about it, and I made a big deal about it. Hey, you have to be involved, and you have to do this. I dropped the ball, and I screwed up.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by being involved. Know the issues when you go to vote. I mean, that's like the minimum thing you should be doing, and even I fucked it all up.
Yeah.
Makes me mad.
So, but yeah, that was the longest time I've spent in a polling station for a long time.
Like in line or sitting?
I spent half an hour probably.
Sitting
in
or
line?
in line?
Probably.
Like total. What do you mean total? Took you 30
He
minutes.
messaged me at the end of the line. He was like, "Holy cow, this is going to take forever."
Yeah, I went there. It was like I'm gonna go voting. I'm gonna come back and start editing, and I left at 12, and that's why I texted you because I'm like, I might not get back at editing until like whatever.
Yeah.
It was a long line.
There was no line at mine. The voting was long. The longest line I've ever been in was the Biden-Trump election. I waited out. So the polls open at 6 in Missouri, and I was there at like 6:10 in the morning. And the line literally was probably 300 feet long. It went out, wrapped around a building, and then they had cones set up, and it snaked in the parking lot for like 300 feet. At 6:10, I barely was in the parking lot.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I ended up waiting, I think it was an hour and a half just to get to the door, and I got there 10 minutes after the polls opened.
So brave of you to brave COVID. Wow.
Oh, I know. So stupid. They were outside in their masks, in their cars, with their mask on, the windows up. Like, what do you... Come on, bro.
They told us that there were 60 people when the doors opened at our precinct, so that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens. So, Missouri tends to go a pretty predictable path.
Missouri was boring this year. Like, it was pretty, okay, these are what's going to happen. This is what we're doing. But then the rest of the country is a train wreck. So.
Yep.
I want to say during the Trump-Hillary that the precinct that I voted in were blue. I want to say that our Jackson County was blue during the Hillary-Trump.
So Jackson County gets weighed, like Jackson County, St. Louis County, Boone County.
Yeah, they're weighed down.
What county is Springfield? I don't know what county Springfield is, but...
It's almost always red.
Yeah.
It's very rarely.
Your four most populated big cities in Missouri, you've got Kansas City, Columbia, St. Louis, and Springfield. Those particular counties will always go blue. Mm-hmm. The entire rest of the state will go red. So
that's not true.
I would say always.
That's
most
of
the time.
Yeah, that's
it
not
was
true.
either like Blue Springs or like Jackson County, I feel like. Unless I was just looking at it completely wrong.
It would have been Jackson County stuff for you in Independence.
Yeah, you'd have been Jackson County.
There was nothing Blue Springs particular on our ballot.
I was south of Blue Springs during that election.
Yeah. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, interesting stuff.
Vote, vote, vote.
Vote.
Vote, vote, vote. What do you want to talk about, man?
So.
You got a couple topics or
got
what?
A couple. Let's say, so.
For Jorge, I'm going to have a.
By now.
Sip of whiskey.
You have another.
I'm not going to choke this time.
Dude, that dude's got 3 shout-outs and 3 shows in a row.
I didn't shout him out last time.
Yeah, you did. You were cussing him.
Was I cussing him?
Fucking Diaz with Zazarak.
By the time we're done, like in 2 years, like we're gonna
people are probably tired of hearing about him. How do you talk about this idiot all the time?
He's gonna have like
send us some whiskey and we'll talk about you too. That's what it is.
He's gonna have so much funding his kids' college. He's gonna be like, well, the kids' college is paid for because the Void podcast.
And Zazarak sponsored me.
Yeah, no shit.
So, Powerball drawing came down today. It was supposed to be announced last night, but technical errors.
Do you think California cheated?
Who knows?
I say yes.
We'll get into that in a minute.
All right. What else you got?
Powerball.
What else you want to talk about?
Drawing amount was $2.04 billion with a B.
So what was the cash like?
Cash out was $997.6 million.
So after you pay taxes, you get $500 million in cash.
Yeah, somewhere there.
Do you think that they would bring that to you in $100 bills if you requested it?
Let me ask you this.
Just roll around in it?
Most people.
That's what I'd do.
Most people are going to take the cash option instead of the annuity. The annuity's paid out over 29 years. So the annuity would pay you, before taxes, the annuity would pay you $70,344,000, $345,000.
Every year?
Every year for 29 years. Would you take the annuity at $70 million a year, or would you take the one-time lump sum of $997?
Do I get the first annuity like right off the bat?
I believe so. Let's just assume you do. Let's assume you don't have to wait 365 days for your first payment.
Well, okay, so let me speak for a second. So back when they would, like a big one would be $400 million or whatever, I was taking all the cash. That was I was like, no, I'm taking all the cash. I'm going to buy the things I want, and then I'm investing the rest anyway. And then that investment's going to give me a check every quarter.
Yep.
Or every year, however I set it up. At $70 million a year, I think I'm probably taking the annuity.
Yeah, I mean, with the annuity, you're leveraging when you die, right? Because the annuity cannot roll over to family.
No.
It stops the day you die.
But that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
So what's 70? So what's 70 times?
How many?
So if I live 10 years, that'd be $700 million.
Let's do the math here real quick.
So I'm probably taking the annuity at that high number.
997.6. There we go. Divided by 70, 344, 827. So in 14 years, you would have your $997 million.
That's what I'm saying.
And you still have another 15 years of annuity coming.
Oh, you're still paying taxes on that, bud.
Yeah, you're still paying taxes on all that.
So really...
Both of these are pre-tax numbers.
Yeah, so really, yes. When the number's that high and you're my age, you're taking the annuity.
How old are you?
41.
Okay.
So you're taking the annuity. You know what I mean? I'm not betting that I'm going to die in 5 years. Now, if I'm 75, if I'm 60, I'm taking the cash option because I got another 15 before I physically slow down.
Yep.
Give me my fucking money.
Yeah.
I want a yacht. I want a private island. You know what I mean? I want, all that stuff. And then I can take all that money and invest it in things that I can then hand down to the next generations. So I would say that, depending on your age and the amount of money is what would, deter me from one or the other. But like right now, I would take the annuity. Yeah. I mean, in 10 or 15 years, I've got the same amount of money. It's actually probably less than that. It's probably half of that because I'm still taking the money that I'm getting and investing that money also. So it's really probably half. So I'm definitely taking the annuity.
Yep.
At my age.
I would immediately, so this is the group that I've gotten a part of with Apex. There are some insanely wealthy people in there and people that are...
Your paid cheerleading group?
Paid cheerleading
Yeah, he's
group.
paying guys to cheerlead him on. Go, Mitch! Go, Mitch!
There's nobody cheerleading me on.
They're puffing you up.
So
you love it.
I would probably reach out to some smart people in that group before I even made the decision. There's one person that's affiliated with that group that he individually is worth like $800 million. So
you'd be worth him more than him then.
Well, no, after taxes.
Not if you're taking the annuity.
If you're taking the annuity, then maybe not. But
it's net worth based on years left.
Yeah. So, it just kind of depends. But there are definitely some opinions there that could wager in on lump sum, what you could do with that over the 15 years where the annuity would have to match up to it. And
you know what Rex Hudler calls that? Paralysis by analysis.
We talked about that on this show.
Like literally after you talk to 20 smart people, you're like just as confused as when you started.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Rex Hudler was tailgating 2 spots down from me 2 Chiefs games ago.
I know, I saw that.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking cool.
Rex, he's a character.
Yep.
That dude is a character. He has a zest for life, unlike a lot of people.
So what are you doing with the money?
Oh, okay. So am I taking the cash or the annuity?
Either which. Obviously, you're going to invest it. You're going to put it in something that recurs on investment.
You're asking me the fun stuff.
Yeah. Like, what's your big thing you're going to go buy right off the gate? A
ranch either in Colorado or Wyoming. Maybe Montana.
Awesome.
in the mountains, and I'm not talking like ranch. I'm talking like 5 square miles.
Yeah.
I'm talking humongous with a big house, a guest house. I mean, I'm talking the works.
Yep.
Second thing I'm buying is a beach house opposite, and I'm just going to go. I would just be going back and forth between the two.
Yeah.
And then
Where's your beach house? America?
Oh, America for sure. Probably Florida Keys. I would say either Gulf side of Florida, Gulf side in Texas, or Florida Keys. Unless you could.
California?
Fuck California. The warmest ocean.
I don't know. You get that much money, you might be able to.
Dude, the warmest ocean and the best weather is in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
It's 10 times better than California. That's where I'd be. And then I would also. So after the first few initial projects, I would be donating a lot of money to a lot of people. A lot. I mean, I'm coming to Mitch. I'm like, Mitch, dude, I'm giving you $5 million, buddy. Love you. I'm giving it to you. Austin, you're getting $7. Like, I haven't known you long enough. I'm getting $8. But I mean, there are some, like, I know some.
You have to hire somebody to, like, vet the charitable contribution thing, right? Like, you'd want to make sure it's being used wisely.
Well, I'm kind of weird. Like, I know the people that I would, like, I already know who I would, I would know.
Yeah.
I would know who I'm giving the money to.
Yeah.
Like, I'm involved in the community, enough to know that, hey, I know these people are good and we getting the money.
Yeah.
I know that disabled veterans would be getting a ton of money.
Yeah.
I know that there are 3 or 4 churches that I'm really good friends with people that are part of those churches. They'd be getting a lot of money.
Right.
The children's hospitals would be getting a lot of money.
Yeah.
Cancer studies would be getting a lot of money.
Yeah, so
I'm not giving it to Susan B. Komen because I know that she makes like $5 million a year off of donations. I'm not giving it to her, but like
I have a hard time with some of the medical stuff.
Yeah,
based off of some recent things I've learned, I just
you got to be careful.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things where the cure is delayed just because not having a cure profits more than having a cure.
Yeah,
so yeah, that's tough. Austin, what are you doing?
Tithe to my church and/or pay off the church building / debt.
You're talking about, dude. We're talking about enough money to pay off like 27 churches' debts. You just go out there and be like, boom.
I'm saying for money. You, what's your frivolous spend?
Well, that's it. Just like I always want to tithe on it first.
Are you still going to have a car with a windshield that's broken?
I'm about to say my list, Mitch. Gosh, thank God. Are you?
It's taken 8 months, but I'm finally rubbing off on Austin. I'm finally rubbing off on him.
He's coming out on the show.
Roughing him up a little bit.
But, so it's either a ranch or just a nice house and a lot of land, horses. For my wife, maybe some sheep. I've always wanted sheep. Yeah, we saw Austin of a sheep. Get an Ari Alexa. Start a film production company.
Wait, get a what?
Ari Alexa.
The fuck's an Ari Alexa?
I don't know what that is.
It's just a high level cinema camera. They're like $90,000, $100,000.
Oh, he's okay. He's talking video equipment.
Yeah.
So my scope isn't as huge, but it's just it's for me. It's not about like I'm gonna like start this business and that business. It's literally just like being set for life. Getting stuff my wife would enjoy, like horses and a lot of land. For me, it's like film production company, to where we can just spend all the time together.
I'm not working at all. Like I shouldn't say that. Like on the ranch I buy, I will work on that every day.
Right.
Like you know what I mean. I'm not hiring 7,000 ranch hands. I will do that, but I'm not ever working to make money again.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I like working. I like going outside early and doing shit.
Yeah.
And being outside.
Like, I'm probably the black sheep one out here is because just like it's very much, there's like this sort of culture of like the hustle and like as soon as you're successful, it's like start this business and like I don't like a lot of variables going at once. I don't like being involved in this and turning over and making that. For me, it's like I know what I want. My wife knows what she wants, and so it's like, we just do that.
So what Austin is saying is hanging out with me gives him anxiety. Because I have a tendency to overcommit myself.
No, I'm just the balance.
First off, Yes. Yeah. If Mitch and I worked together, there'd just be a pool of blood in the shop before anyone rolled up. We're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. Fuck, we are. I mean, it'd just be over. But I get it. Like, Austin just wants to, I've got this stuff. Now I can relax. And if I want to shoot this video or movie, I can do it if I want.
Yeah, we definitely kind of balance each other out a lot. There has been a couple weekends where I just shut off Messenger, and I'm like, I'll just check Mitch's matches on Monday. Because there's like, so it's almost like
I think I'm going to get him a set of brass knuckles, and just like whenever, and just give him to be like, hey man, when he pisses you off, just punch him in the face.
Here's the thing.
Just put these on.
With text messaging, you can schedule the delivery of messages. Mm-hmm. With Messenger, you can't. I wish you could. Because I tend to message the moment something comes into my mind, and I have, like, if it's outside of working hours, I have zero expectation somebody's going to reply. It's more or less like, I'm putting a note out there.
Yeah.
Do it later, right?
Yeah.
And with text messaging, you can schedule all those to land the next business day in the morning.
Yeah.
But with Facebook, like Austin and I spend most of the time messaging on Facebook, and you can't do that.
And people are different, too. Like, so Mitch and I have known each other long enough that he knows that if he sends me a message and I don't respond for like 6 hours, he knows I'm just doing stuff.
Yeah.
And when I see it, oh, man, okay. And I'll send it to him, and he knows that. But, like, if you are getting... we're completely off topic. When you don't know someone really, really well, like, and I message a guy, you never know how they're going to take it.
Yeah.
Like, why is this guy fucking messaging me at 5:30 in the freaking morning? Like, does he expect me to get up and just be at his beck? No. That's just, like, if Mitch sent that to me, it'd just be like he was up and, okay, you know.
Call me a boomer, but if it's important, I'm calling. If the fact that I sent a message means that I don't expect a reply until you're ready and available.
Yeah, like, if it's important, it's a call. Like, hey, dude, hey, where you at? Well, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just because of like where I've come from this sort of like the restaurant world where you're like expected to be at someone's beck and call. Like literally, I'm like so strict on that. Exactly. It's gonna sound crazy. I'm gonna say it. Literally, it could be 4:59, and if it hits 5, I'll stop mid conversation texting with somebody. Like, I'll be sending out thumbnails and some of this. I'm like, hey, once it's 5 p.m. on Friday, I'm not going to talk to you until Monday.
I love it.
Like, and he knows, too. Like, I'll literally be in mid-conversation, just nothing.
Yeah. And there'll be weekends.
Good for you sticking to your guns, Austin.
Well, there'll be weekends where I send him, 5 or 6 messages just over the weekend. And there's no expectation that he's going to reply. It's like literally just...
like on Monday at 7, there's just like 30 in a row.
I use Messenger almost like notes. To where it's like, I'm going to send Austin a note. I'm going to send Austin a note. Like, you know, and it just is what it is.
And I mean, because like I've learned that just because I remember being like a general manager of a restaurant where it's like one more thing turns into like 30 more things, and the next thing you know, it's like 9 p.m. and you've been at the restaurant since like or McDonald's since like 7 that morning.
That's a whole job. I feel like sometimes.
And as soon as you're about to leave, like someone else comes in and they have a problem. You got to fix that one.
This is why you need to watch the movie Office Space.
Yeah.
You would freaking love it.
We need to have an exchange month where I take all my movie references and you watch them and I watch all those.
I'll trade you movie for movie.
I haven't watched a movie in like fucking 10 years, I bet. Like, sat down and watched one.
Yeah,
I watched start to finish.
I watched I Am Legend this weekend. Danielle was gone for a minute, and she came home, and I'm halfway through it, and she's like, what are you doing?
Danielle doesn't watch movies. Like, she'll have a movie playing, and she's just talking nonstop.
Yeah.
First off, I've gone down there, and I've been like, hey, what are you doing? I'm watching a movie. She has literally. She's looking at her phone, doesn't look up at me, and says, "I'm watching a movie while typing." I'm like, "No, you're not."
And you have to be whispering to hear the movie because it's like, "Talk."
And then she'll be doing her thing, and I'll literally be like, "What are you doing?" Yeah. And then she'll look up and be like, "I'm watching a movie," still typing with her phone. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Why is the?
I watched I Am Legend this weekend, and she was just amazed that like I sat down for 2 hours and watched a movie.
You know what the good thing about movies is? This is very interesting. I was reading an article the other day that talked about this is going to sound so stupid. I Googled how to get rest as a construction worker. Because, like, sometimes I'll get home and I'm just, like, flat wore out, you know? Mm-hmm. I'm like, how do I it's going to sound so stupid. Like, I'm so sore, but then I get home and I'm like, I have things to do, and so I'm doing them. I'm in the yard. It's in the summertime. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm doing that. Next thing I know, it's 8 o'clock. I got to go to bed. I wake up. I'm tireder than I was when I fucking laid down. And it literally was talking about watching movies. Like, you should sit down and completely immerse yourself, not like on the couch with the windows open and with your phone. Like, no, have an area where you can sit down and it's black and watch a movie.
Yeah.
Because it's something about the way your mind works when you're completely submerged. It's almost like REM sleep, where your body can shut down. So when we finish our basement, I think I'm putting a theater in down there.
Well, so what I do whenever I'm having, like, I'll go through bouts.
Maybe I need to start watching movies again.
I'll go through cycles where I'm struggling sleeping. I just get a lot on my mind or whatever.
Yeah.
And so
last night I didn't sleep at all.
I'll go to bed. We have a TV in our bedroom. It's rarely on. Like, we usually don't watch TV in the bedroom.
Danielle turns it on so she can look at her phone and lay in there.
Right. It's rarely on, but I'll go to bed and I'll turn on. I've got like 2 or 3 old TV series that I've probably seen 20 or 30 times.
But you like watching them?
Between the 2 or 3 of them, yeah. Like Dexter. I've seen Dexter like 7 times. And I'll just turn it on and start watching the series because you already know what's going to happen, but it's still, like, you still kind of catch some things.
Yeah.
But since you already know what's going to happen, it allows your mind to check out from the day and get tired. And after about an episode or 2 of Dexter, I'm out like a light.
Really?
It's the weirdest. Like, so Danielle knows if I'm watching Dexter, like
my
anxiety levels.
You're trying to get some serious rest.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I mean, like, for me, it's the wake up call. I mean, unfortunately, I didn't have a very soft wake up call. I was working at a job. I was the general manager of McDonald's, and Mitch described it. I was the case of the micromanaged guy in a sort of job where I had little to no hobbies.
Yeah.
No friends, no this. And, I drove to work, and I was a mess, like borderline, suicidal.
You need to watch Office Space.
Yeah, so I drove
I'm serious.
I remember driving to work on, one of the busiest days of the year, and I didn't even get out of my car. I went to actually go, and, I literally mentally couldn't even get my arm to, open the door.
Yeah.
I was just gone. And I just went home, and my little plan was, I'm just going to lay here until the police come and evict me from my apartment. My parents, I went to drive home.
See, I should laugh, but you're exactly right. It's just like Office Space.
Yeah. So anyways, I remember driving home, and it must have been God, because my parents drove past me. They hardly ever drive past me. And my dad called me and was like, hey, are you going to work today? And I was like, no. I was a mess or whatever. And so they lifted me up. They gave me enough money to survive for a month. And they just said, literally for 2 weeks, don't do anything.
Yeah.
Get yourself back in, eat, that sort of stuff. And it's I had start from ground. So that's kind of my...
That's literally in Office Space. The guy goes to the counselor and he says to him, I hate my life, and so every day is worse than the day before. So every day you see me is the worst day of my life. Is what he says. And the guy, is like, wow, that's messed up.
That's messed up.
Literally, that's where you were at. Literally every day
and
was the worst day of your life.
So yeah, some of it was a lot. Some of it was my fault too, because I love chewing on things mentally in my mind. So I would have no hobbies, and anything I did outside of work was for work, not because they were oh, you have to do it. I'm oh, how can I make this better and that better? And it's
yeah.
So that's why I am the way I am today. That's why whenever it's I know it sounds really harsh, but 5 p.m. on Friday,
no,
you won't hear from me.
Those are called boundaries, and they're very healthy to have.
Hey, bitch, I'm out.
Yeah. But here's the cool thing. I messaged Austin Saturday night. Was it Saturday? Yeah, it was Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah.
I messaged Austin Saturday night. We threw everybody at work, hey, let's go out to dinner and enjoy each other's company.
Thanks for the call.
Well, you don't work for us.
Appreciate that.
But
I feel like I'm doing this for negative money right now.
I have a...
every day it comes, it
you
just
and me both,
costs me a piece of my soul every fucking day.
So I have a group text with all the plumbers in case I need to send out a message to all the plumbers, right? And I sent out a message on the group text that said, hey, how about you guys want to get together for dinner, 7 o'clock? And I totally forgot. Like, my wife is with me. She works for us, so she's going to get the message. Our other dispatcher's one of our plumber's wives. She's going to get the message. I totally forgot that Austin's not even on this group. Like, I went to the group text thinking it was the fastest way to communicate to the whole company.
And you didn't even text
Completely
Austin.
forgot Austin's not on it. So it's like, I don't know, when did I send the message? Like 6:30?
Well, it was 6:55. It was 6:55 or 6:57. Whenever I got the message, you called me at 6:52. I didn't see a message until 6:57.
Yeah.
And so
I'm like, hey, we're going to dinner tonight. If you want to join, like, everybody's going to dinner. And he's like, okay, cool. When and where? And I'm like, I told him when and where.
7 minutes.
And he's like, all right, we'll head that way.
Yeah.
So
he's thinking, free meal, I'm going.
Well,
Heck
why
yeah.
not?
It's like,
Yeah, you got to take what you can get, man.
We went there, and then we went out and played some darts, and just low-key, fun evening.
Must have been nice.
Must have been nice.
Must have been nice. I was actually watching Laylat Soccer.
Maybe one of these nights we'll do a Void podcast.
Oh, fuck you.
Outing.
Don't send me. Don't.
Our budget is
don't kiss
really
my ass.
thin.
We have no budget. We have no budget. We have negative budget.
We can go to the soup kitchen with the Void podcast
Okay,
budget.
I'll pay for dinner. Jesus. Soup
Hey,
kitchen.
we got dinner on the line here, buddy.
I know. You know what I realized the other day? So I went back and was kind of reading some of those.
NFL rules?
No. Like what they've done. And they usually wait until after the law has done their deal.
Yeah, if it's a legal
man,
thing.
that could be 8 months from now.
Well, he's already gone to court.
Yeah, but they haven't
done anything with it.
Yeah, I mean, it could literally be another 8 weeks. It could literally be another 6 months. If they decide, hey, we want to continue the deal, I mean, we're not getting it. It could literally be 8 months. So
where's my
not
notes
that I
on
care.
this? Where's my notes?
Not that I care. You know, I'll stand up for my bet. It could be a while. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
We got a 5.5 game over.
Yeah. Probably I should have set that at like 5.
what was the betting thing? Who wins what?
If Devontae
Dinner.
Adams, I have to buy him and Danielle dinner.
So it's like maybe in a year you'll have almost enough to buy dinner from your Void podcast earnings.
I will not have enough money.
He could double his earnings today and still have $0.
I won $50 today.
That has nothing to do with the podcast.
No,
though.
but it can pay for part of that dinner.
You come in and you're just like, hey, Mitch, I bought a $2 scratcher and I won more money than I've made in here.
Yeah.
So for the newer listeners, Dave and I have a bet. Devontae Adams shoved a photographer as he was walking into the Chiefs' tunnel.
Yeah, after they got their asses whipped.
After they got their asses handed to him by the Chiefs.
I said 6-game suspension.
And
Mitch said under 5.
Yeah, and this is kind of based off of Willie Gay getting suspended for, 4 games?
Yeah. Do you know since he's been back, he's been a fucking terror.
Yeah. Willie Gay got suspended
He's a
4 games
bad
for
motherfucker.
breaking his ex-girlfriend's vacuum.
No, his vacuum that he bought.
Yeah, he bought it. He broke a vacuum valued at under $1,000 in his ex-girlfriend's house.
I think it was valued at like $50.
And so we're basing the NFL's fine suspension thing
stupid.
off of the vacuum broken
stupid.
scale.
So
Well, the thing is, maybe it's like you said, he's like he's mad now because it's like when you're in the NFL, if you have problems, you at least don't have to worry about it when you're playing the game. But when you're suspended, you're just like having to face your demons.
Yeah.
So he's like,
exactly.
if you're
So how many games? Like the bet is we have a 5.5 game over under on how many games Devontae Adams gets suspended for shoving the photographer.
Yes.
And I'm betting under 5. Dave's betting over 5.
Yeah.
I'm betting under 5.5.
You see that meme where it's like the photographer showing up to court the next day, and it's like the guy like in a full
He's in a full body cast. Me showing up to court after Devontae Adams pushed me. Yeah. So.
Oh my God.
It's kind of funny because I had like emotional ties to it because I'm like a photographer, but like as time goes, I'm just like I feel like whenever you brought it up, I'm just like, oh yeah, things like that's like distant memory now.
I'm telling you,
it's a minute.
It's like weird how you get fired up at those things.
Don't worry, the NFL will pick so the Raiders suck, right?
Yeah.
Like, they suck horribly this year. But don't worry.
I think you mean every year.
The moment they start getting on a hot streak, ironically, that's when the NFL will hand down the suspension to Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Just wait.
It's like a Hunger Games, like we talked about that one podcast.
They've already gotten the suspension written up, and they're just waiting. And the moment the Raiders start getting on a little bit of a hot streak, they're like, hand it down.
Oh, yeah. God, at least they're not as bad as the Saints. God, they're awful.
Yeah. You give Derek Carr a 17-point lead, and you can guarantee a loss in that game. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's got to have at least a 32.
Yeah.
What else you want to talk about, Mitch?
So,
what else you got? Give me some.
Last week, the school district that my kids go to, they sent an email to all the parents with the most in-demand occupations for the next 10 years. This is the state of Missouri released their projections for the most in-demand occupations.
Within the next 10 years or 10 years from now?
2020 to 2040, I believe.
That'd be 20 years.
18 years.
2020.
20 to 40 is 20 years.
2020 to 2030.
Oh, that's
and they
2020.
update it every year.
Oh, okay.
And so this list highlights that 10-year span.
Gotcha.
But it also puts a focus on their 25 newest additions to the list. The list is in alphabetical order, so it does not give you like an order of importance. But there's 150 occupations on this list. And we could read through them, sheet metal workers.
Read me some. Just go down. You don't have to be in order. Just read me some off.
Yeah, I'll just try to, it's in alphabetical order.
Just read every fifth one or something. I don't care.
Agricultural and food service technicians. We got audiovisual equipment technicians, Austin. We got billing and posting clerks, brick masons, cabinet makers and bench carpenters, chefs and head cooks, child care workers, commercial pilots, dental assistants, dental hygienists. I'm just kind of fastly scrolling through here. Elevator installers and repair personnel, emergency medical technicians and paramedics, firefighters, a whole host of first-line supervisors for construction, mechanics, office, police, fire, medical, retail workers. So basically they're looking for department managers.
Those type of managers make $75,000-$80,000 a year.
Yeah. Food service managers, healthcare support workers. Of course, plumbers, pipe fitters, and steam fitters are on there. They're on there actually twice. They're in there for the helpers category, but they're also in there for the main category.
Overpaid.
Locomotive yeah, right.
Losers.
Locomotive engineers, insurance sales agents, landscapers, medical equipment preparers, medical equipment repairers, millwrights, and so on and so on. Going through this list, there's 150 occupations on this list, and less than 16% of these most in-demand occupations require a college degree.
Yeah, we've talked about it 1,000 times. For the last 40 years, 30 years, you have to have college. You have to do this. You have to take out loans. You have to, if you're not, you're going to be a nobody.
Right.
It's not true.
Nope.
I make more money than a ton of people that I know personally that went to college.
Yep.
Like some of them double after they paid $100,000 worth of student loans.
Yep.
You do not have to go to college to make a good living in this country.
Right.
We've said it on the show 1,000 times.
Let's read through the D's.
What's the D's?
Alphabetical order. We got dental assistant, dental hygienist, dental laboratory technician, detective and criminal investigator, diagnostic medical sonographer, dispatcher except police, fire, medical, and ambulance.
Oh, yeah.
That's every D. Notice doctor wasn't on that list. Okay?
Because they got to go to college.
Let's read through. No, this list is not.
Oh, this has some that are college.
This is the most in-demand occupations in Missouri, college or not. Okay? We've made the observation that less than 16% of these positions require a college degree. Let's go to the L's. Landscaping and groundskeeping, licensed practical and licensed vocational nurses.
That's LPNs,
Yep.
Stuff like that.
Physical.
You do have to have training.
You do have to have college. Yep.
LPN, but you don't have to go to college.
Right. Life, physical, and social science technicians, light truck and delivery service drivers.
I mean, as he's
loan
reading
interviewers and clerks and locomotive engineers. Notice a lawyer is not on this list. let's go to the E's.
Oh my gosh. I'm just kidding.
He's so into it.
Let's go to the B's. Let's go to the C's. It's going to be like a 4-hour.
No. What I'm getting at is engineer is not on this list either.
So it's like your traditional things that you would think of.
The things that... Okay, so the things that actually take a college degree for you to go to, those positions are filled because there are a ton of overqualified people out there.
Yeah, there's
in those fields.
There's a million students that just graduated over the last 10 years.
There are some parents that said, hey, you have to have an actual degree that will give you a good job. And half of them were like, okay, I'm going to get an engineering degree. Well, there aren't enough jobs to fill all those, to give all those kids jobs.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
So you're not going to, those jobs aren't in demand.
Right.
The jobs that are in demand, no one's going to school for.
Right.
No one wants to work hard to do a small apprenticeship for 2 years to get there. And then people want to bitch that they can't make any money. Well, Target only pays me $10. Well, go get another job.
Mardell Books.
You do not have to be
I don't want to work hard ever, trust me.
You don't have to go to Target. You don't have to go to Walmart. You don't have to work at McDonald's. Go out there and get a job. Talk to people.
Right.
Go outside and network.
Yeah.
Don't sit at home and play video games. Don't, be afraid to go out and try new things. Oh, man, I can't do that. Yes, you can.
Right.
Get a job.
I didn't even have like a plan. I literally just bought a camera on a whim. I mean, I like photography and video, and I just started doing that. And then like 3 years later, landing a job as a professional videographer and editor. So it's like you don't even have to even, people may think that I have to have some sort of master plan and I have to get permission and then I have to have this breakthrough. And it's like, no, just like
try something new.
There's the key word. You don't need permission to be successful.
That's right.
College is permission.
Yeah, you feel like you have to do it. Now listen, I do know guys that have college degrees that make double what I make. Okay, and they're not complicated degrees. You know, I know some guys that have engineering degrees that literally their job is a cakewalk, and they make double than me. But I also know guys that have engineering degrees that make way less than me because they couldn't get those jobs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So don't feel like you absolutely have to do this to make X or to make Y.
And the guys that are using and applying their college degrees and are receiving the I don't want to say mythical benefits, but the fantasy benefits of like, oh, I'm going to go to college and get a good job, right? The guys that have the really good jobs out of college, those are guys that got there from going to college, but then also applying themselves
at college
and at their good job.
Yeah.
Right?
Like my brother-in-law, he went to a college I'd never heard of, right? I can't remember what his degree is in, but he was literally like a 4.0 student, so was headhunted out of college, to get this job, and makes a ton of money doing this job.
Right.
But it's not because he just, quote unquote, my fingers are up, people, went to college.
Right.
He went to college and fucking crushed it.
Yeah.
He
and crushed it at college and then came out of college and kept crushing it.
And then, the second he got out, he was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to take this and fucking run with it.
Right.
And then continued to do great.
Yeah.
And now probably hates his job. I don't know. I have to ask him for a while, but
I mean, people that didn't go to college but that are crushing it or that are seeing success, it's because they also applied themselves.
Yeah.
So the one universal thing to success has nothing to do with college, but has everything to do with how hard you apply yourself and how much you apply yourself.
And let's be honest. If you apply yourself and go to college and get a good job, and then you apply yourself and not go to college and get a good job, your chances of making more money is if you went to college. But that's not a fact.
Right.
That's not a given. That's just a statistical anomaly based on the past.
Well,
okay, so don't think that if I don't go to college but I apply myself, well, you can use it as a crutch. I may not make as much and then just be happy with that.
Right.
Say, okay, no, you know what? I see that, but I'm going to take advantage of that, and I'm going to use it as motivation to know I can do that well, and I'm going to do that well.
The difference, though, like, I think it is fact that the harder you apply yourself, the more success you're going to see. The problem is applying yourself becomes subjective.
Yeah, 100%.
So, like, it's been said that successful people it's been said that unsuccessful people do a little bit of work and wonder why they're not seeing success yet. Meanwhile, successful people bust their ass and apply themselves 24/7, 365 and wonder if they're still being lazy. So it all comes down to the subjective nature of, are you really applying yourself, or did you work a little hard for a little bit and you're wondering why you're not successful yet? Like, it's a compounding thing. It takes time. And just because you applied yourself this week, you can squander all that away by fucking off all next week.
Yeah, it's like NFL defensive linemen. You know, they talk about guys all the time. Oh, this guy takes plays off. This guy does this. Well, the guys that don't take plays off and give the effort every time always have better numbers.
Right.
Always have more sacks. Always have more pressures. His motor just doesn't quit. No, the guys that are applying, just because you have talent doesn't mean. If you have talent and you apply yourself every play, you're a Hall of Famer. If you have talent and you take plays off, you're a good player who makes good money.
Right.
You know, there is always another level that you can get to. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
We've talked about this on the show. I just continually struggle with, when do I say, okay, enough is enough in this area? You know, have I done enough? Do I need to keep going?
Right.
You know, and then at the same time, you know, the next week I'm like, oh, I've done enough. I'm tired. You know, I'm wore out. No, you can keep going. It's just, are you willing to keep going?
Right.
You know, there are physical limitations. Let's be honest. In the construction world, not me, not just plumbers, not electricians, not just concrete guys, not framers, not all of those guys as they get older have physical limitations. Mm-hmm. You know, and eventually, you know, Father Time will catch up with you, just like professional athletes will. But just because you are older and a little slower doesn't mean you can't give max effort.
Right.
You know what I mean? You've laid, and by the time you get to that point, you've laid the groundwork to be successful when you lay off. You know what I mean? You've gained the experience that I don't have to give 100% max effort to make the same I was 10 years ago. Now I can, I can coast at 80 and be making the same money.
And a lot of times too, you're leveraging where...
and wisdom too. You're leveraging your knowledge, your wisdom.
Yeah.
The things you've learned, the managers you've trained, if you have guys underneath you.
Yeah, you're leveraging your manpower too, right? So like 10 years ago, physically working hard may have been required, whereas 10 years later, you might have a team of guys that can do the physical work for you. And now, quote unquote, working hard is making incredibly smart decisions and working for your people harder. It might not be turning wrenches. It might not be laying bricks. It might be earning and putting together contracts that allow you to employ your team of bricklayers for the next year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
or staying up and working from 6 to 10, you know, trying to get them better health care to keep guys around.
Right. Yeah. Like, I mean, very real thing in our business. We're shopping our insurance. My dad's my insurance agent, and we're still shopping them. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. So, by the way, I still haven't got life insurance after I switched insurance to Mr. Vicksman.
I got an hour car ride with him tomorrow, so I'll talk to you about that.
Well, he sent me the stuff, and I said, hey, you going to call me and let me know? You know what? I've got to... Don't say anything to him, because I've got to get that...
Oh, here it is.
Insurance on that other stuff. So, but I don't want him to be sending me emails, so don't say anything to him. God, he'll be just blowing up my phone.
But yeah, I mean, here it is. You know, we can better provide for our business if every year we're shopping our insurance and we're checking out. Are we paying the cheapest price? Are we getting the best value? That's working hard, right?
Yeah.
Shopping insurance is incredibly painstaking.
God, it sucks.
Gosh, it sucks, right? But here we're doing it.
I switched all R's literally 6 months ago, and it took me in like 45 days. It was like, why is this so painful?
Right. And yeah, here we're doing it because it's the smart thing to do in the business, to analyze all that and to look at all that and to make sure we are indeed doing the right things. So don't think working hard means you have to be physically turning the wrenches. So
yeah, and you know that is a problem for a lot of guys. Like for me, it's a problem. Like for guys that came up working hard every day,
right?
It's hard for them personally to say, okay, you know what, maybe my best of being tough and being out there and digging ditches and doing that, maybe that's behind me. Maybe I just don't have, because guys want to keep going, right?
Yeah.
It's just a pride thing with men. You just want to keep going. Sometimes you got to be like, man, maybe this 25-year-old kid, maybe he's the real deal, and I need to just let him, take on the reins a little bit and give me a break.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for guys.
Well, and some of it, too, especially in the blue-collar world, there is it's a stigma that goes around where your worth at any company has nothing to do with your mental contributions to the company and everything to do with your physical contributions.
Yeah,
and
or jobs finished.
Well, yeah, so like if you're not in the ditch working a shovel, then you're useless to the company. And so there are guys at those companies, and this is the wrong mindset. There are guys at those companies that would look, if I'm in the ditch digging a shovel, well, then everyone else is useless. The accountant's useless. The bookkeeper's useless. The dispatcher's useless. The videographer's useless. If you're not physically working as hard as me in this company, you're useless. And that couldn't be further from the truth, right?
Yeah.
So
everyone has their role.
Yeah, as you grow and as you develop, we each have our roles. And that, I love the analogy of football, right? Patrick Mahomes just came off an amazing game, right?
No, he didn't. He came off an amazing fourth quarter.
Amazing comeback.
The first 3 quarters, he sucked.
Yeah.
Damn it, Pat. I was yelling at the TV for fucking 4 hours.
He's getting pretty good at these 10-point comebacks, right?
He's the best quarterback in the league. That doesn't mean he can't piss me off.
Yeah. But to say, like, nobody else on the team is worthy because Pat Mahomes is doing everything, right? He's throwing touchdowns, he's running touchdowns, he's doing everything else.
No, it takes a team.
Guess what? He still has to have a center to hike the ball to him. He still has to have somebody to call the plays. He still has to have a defensive coordinator up in the booth to check out what, the other offense is doing and, everything else. So it takes a whole team.
Yeah.
And the moment guys start getting individual and act like they're more important than anything else, that's when continuity starts to break down real fast.
I saw a YouTube video and it was really nice. It was a comparison that said a 1-man film crew versus a 10-man film crew, and the 1-man film crew did almost as good as a 10-man crew. But what happens though is like you open yourself up to like continuity issues and like mistakes of like. But when you have 10 different people and they're each able to devote 100% to just audio or just set design or whatever.
You know why that is? The ability to blame others for failure. Mm. So you have a 10-man crew, you now have 9 other people that you could blame for failure. If you have a 1-man crew, there is nobody to blame but yourself. Mm-hmm. And when you eliminate the opportunity to blame somebody else for failure, performance increases dramatically.
Yeah.
So that's why it's good as you're building and developing a company to clearly define your roles and who's responsible for what and what success looks like in each one of those roles. Mm. Because if you eliminate the ability, so the better you define what success looks like in each one of those roles individually, then what you're doing is you're saying, okay, well, if we had a failure, this role failed because they didn't model success for what their role pertains, and this role failed because they didn't model success. If you don't have that clearly lined out, then what happens is both those roles are pointing at the other guy. Well, I couldn't do this because they couldn't do that, or they're the reason this went downhill, and it's really ambiguous. So keeping clearly defined roles on that, like on your reference, that 10-man film crew, if all 10 of those people have a very clearly defined role on what success looks like, it really eliminates the ability to blame failure on somebody else.
Ambiguous.
Because they were
ambiguous.
Good word.
The whole kind of point thing is like, say if you have a budget of 10 grand, is it better to do it all yourself and profit all of it, or hire 10 people? And it was interesting to see that, like, the guy who did it by himself, like, basically did almost as good.
Yeah.
But the thing is, too, they were doing, like, a dialogue scene. That's not going to work in every case. But I thought it was pretty interesting is, like, which would... It depends on your situation. Sometimes it is way more economical sense to do it all, but sometimes it's...
Well, and that's the balance of business, right? There's always... And it's the balance of business isn't 50-50. The balance of business can be 60-40. It can be 70-30. It can be, 2-4, 20-20-20-20.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's always... balance doesn't necessarily mean I do this, you do that. It can mean this person does 10% and I do 90%. It can mean whatever it takes to get to 100%. And every business is different. And what I mean by that is when you start out on your own and you decide, hey, okay, I'm going to hire this one guy. That one guy literally may be only doing 20% of the work and you may be doing 80%.
Right.
Okay? But you may be paying that person more than 20% of the gross earnings.
Yeah.
To get that 20%, because that's just where you are at in your current business situation. You have to be able to take all of those different variables that come into business and that come into what is going to make your individual business successful, and mold that into what you need it to be at that time. It is not going to be that way always. You have to be able to completely change track at any given moment and evaluate your current situation and be liquid and move to a different spot. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. So, like, we currently right now in our company, we have 7 employees. Of the 7 employees, I am number 4 on the income, like, ranking of income list.
You should be 0.
Right?
The last 0.
The guys, like, I'm not going to say there's a right or wrong way to do it, right? My roles that I am filling are probably worth way more than position, like, income. If we were to rank them in, like, highest income to lowest income, I'm number 4 of 7. As we're navigating through that, like, I could find a way to explain myself to say, oh, no, I'm worthy of number 1. Right? But that doesn't leave enough business or enough money in the business to grow it at the rate that I want to grow it. I know my long-term dividends on the far end, right? So currently, right now, I don't want to do like a split on like how much percentage of the work I'm doing, but I'm definitely not taking the paycheck worthy of what we're doing in the company. And that's because I'm trying to leave as much in there as I can, so that the business can remain. Yeah,
you're trying to take. You're trying to take.
Growth curve.
You're trying to take the minimum to reinvest whatever monies you can. For growth.
Yeah, and so, like, to get back to your point on the, like, what you were talking about, you may have 5 guys and they're each sharing 20% of the work, but they might not be each sharing 20% of the pay.
Yeah,
the owner might be taking 10% of the pay. And leaving the other 90% to be divided up amongst the 5 guys.
Yeah.
It just kind of depends
and that moves as you grow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a weekly, it's not a monthly, it could be a yearly, it could be it could be, you never know when growth spikes are going to hit you.
Yeah.
You can always, but you can always be prepared for that.
Yeah.
You can always be conscious of, okay, the next steps are going to be, the reason I say that is because when I see people fail, it's usually because they were trying to suck too much off of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of realizing that, okay, I need to stay here and be making just this amount of money so that I can have this money set aside for growth, they were just sucking it all off. Whatever they were paying this guy this person this to take calls, and then everything left over, I was getting it all, baby. Yep. And then whatever I had to pay to taxes, I just dealt with that later at the end. And then they're kind of stuck in that rut all the time. And, we talk about being prepared before you start your business. You have to be prepared for growth the entire time you're moving forward.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to be able to almost look into the future and say, hey, I'm going to be a visionary. This is what I see growth-wise. I think it's going to take this much money to get to that growth point. So there has to be a sacrifice somewhere. What do we talk about all the time? There's going to be a sacrifice. Mm-hmm. If you want to go to the gym and get tough, there's going to be a sacrifice.
Yeah.
If you want to grow your company, there's going to be a sacrifice. But where is that sacrifice? Is the sacrifice I fire this guy or don't hire this guy to set that money aside? Or is it I don't pay myself as much so that I can have that guy but set the money aside over here?
Or is it both?
Or is it both?
Yeah.
Or is it my wife is making way too much money to be secretary and she should probably be making 30 instead of 50? Maybe I need to tell her, no, hon, we have to have, I'm cutting your pay by 10 because we have to do, we have to be trying to move forward, because if we can't move forward, you're going to be doing this forever and we're going to be stuck here.
Right.
There's just, all growth takes sacrifice. Where is the sacrifice?
Yeah. Yeah. The way to navigate through all that, because it can get to be kind of a quagmire as you're navigating through all that.
Of course it is.
There's a really good phrase for how to grow through all that, is as you're developing like a new, you come across a new thing for your business, and this thing's going to repeat itself over and over and over. Do it, document it, delegate it. So, okay, now our phone's ringing a whole lot more. And now, like real life example for us and our company, my wife does our bookkeeping and all of our office management and everything, and she was also answering all of our phones. And it got to a point where she could not do a good enough job on the bookkeeping and all the office management crap, because bookkeeping, you get into these spurts where it's like you need 20 minutes of uninterrupted time to work through a set of problems in bookkeeping. And the phone would ring. Well, you can't not answer the phone if it's a customer calling, right? You can't ignore that. So now she would have to stop what she's doing with the bookkeeping and answer the phone and book the service call. And then she'd have to try to figure out where she was at and try to get back going in that. And then the phone would ring again, right? So we identified, like, okay, we got to find somebody else to answer the phones. And maybe it's not all the time, but we got to get somebody else to answer the phones, because you're really dropping the ball on the bookkeeping thing.
She should have been doing the bookkeeping after hours.
Just from an outside perspective, she looks happier the last couple of weeks. Whatever you've done, like, she seems not how she used to be, like.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
but I mean, it's like just from the outside, I'm like, she's like a different Danielle.
If she has to work 4 hours, she looks like that. Okay? I've known her a long time. That's just her demeanor, always.
So what we did was we hired somebody to answer phones Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And so that leaves her Tuesday. She still answers phones Tuesdays, Thursdays.
Damn, how much money are you spending on fucking office help? This is completely off topic.
Be careful. I might get some.
There is not that much work going on.
There's when phones ring, you got to answer them fast. You got 3 rings to pick up the phone, or else that customer's going to hang up and go somewhere else.
What are you doing all day?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
You sound a lot like
Spencer.
Some of the people I know.
He's gonna be watching.
I know what he's doing all day. He's fucking filming videos with you.
Yeah.
I mean,
not answering the damn phone.
Realistically, that's like, we only film like one. Like, that's probably every 2 weeks where it's like.
Then what the hell are you doing all day, Austin?
I'm editing.
God damn! Just now he's starting to sound like Marcus.
It
takes me fucking 12 hours to edit one video.
You need to come in to work with us one day and see what we do.
Why? So I could run circles around all y'all?
Sure.
I'll give you my 500 gigabyte hard drive, and you can
edit
all the
you
files.
Can put this video together.
I'd walk down to Joey and say, "Hey, I'll give you $100 to do this." He'd be like, "I'll be done in 20 minutes."
So we hired somebody to answer phones Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We created a process. She had done it, right? Do it, document it, delegate it. So she documented how the call process goes, how the phone call answering process goes, and how to book a call. Very clear objectives. We wrote down what success looks like in this position. And so then we hired somebody, and we delegated answering the phones 3 out of the 5 days a week. Here you go. and we check up with them and everything else. But that now frees up Danielle to do all the bookkeeping and all the office management crap and all of her Zoom meetings that she has to do for checking in with accountants and checking in with insurance people and just all of that kind of stuff. She now can do that on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays and not be interrupted with the phones. So, and now we're even looking at having somebody answer the phones on Tuesdays and Thursdays because, like today, she still had meetings that she had to be in and Zoom meetings, and you just run out of time. So, in our business, it's pretty transaction heavy, right? We're doing, 30 to 40 transactions a day. And so the bookkeeping side of that thing gets pretty tedious. QuickBooks helps you out, but it's still pretty tedious. You got to get in there and do all of that stuff by hand. So,
and too, like we were talking about before about the tax thing is, until you start delegating more, if your head stays in the trenches, you'll keep missing the little things of like, oh, it's like we missed this tax thing or we missed this. It's like,
right.
It's like looking back hindsight's 20/20, but like say if you had been in a spot where you were like out of the business more, you could have had more time to be like, wait, this accounting thing doesn't add up.
Right.
So like sooner.
So like we recently talked about it on the show, our big, tens of thousands of dollars in tax surprise that we came across. I can't help but think that if I had spent less time working in the business and a little bit more time working on the business, we may have been able to head that off a little bit. And so there's the value right there of standing back and letting other people do the processes that you've created so that you can focus on breaking the next link in the system.
And you have a top-down view, too.
Yeah.
Is like you can kind of, rather than seeing it from a subjective point of view, from like, I'm in the middle of a job and this happens, you're able to see a top-down view. And you're probably starting to see, too, as you're pulling out more and more things of like, oh, this was going on. I was oblivious to this for months.
Absolutely. We just implemented a couple of things with our marketing team and how we're communicating our marketing team to the people that answer phones. That one move right there will allow us to add probably 20 service calls a week to our schedule almost immediately, like within 2 or 3 weeks. This one thing that we implemented. Well, 20 service calls a week to our schedule means we're hiring another plumber. And so, like, here within the next few weeks, we're going to be hiring another plumber. And that only came from the ability to get out of the field and look at it from an office perspective and say, well, I don't think we're quite being efficient here. And I think if we line this up with our marketing to this up with our dispatchers and our CSRs, then we can free up some room here. And so, a couple of quick literally 2 weekends ago, we drove out to Columbia to my in-laws' farm. Yeah. And spent the farm out there. Well, Danielle drove.
Spent the farm out there, the day at the farm?
Spent the weekend at the farm.
Wow.
So, literally, the 90-minute drive.
People say I drink too much.
The 90-minute drive to Columbia, I had Danielle drive, and I sat in the back seat of my own pickup truck, and I was pounding out this spreadsheet that was going to be the keystone piece to let all this communication happen. And I got it all done by the time we got out there. That 90 minutes alone right there is like the keystone piece that lets us hire another plumber.
Maybe it's kind of like insecurity, what kind of keeps people from, like, say they get into that role where it's like they're moving out from, like, you see this in the restaurant industry where it's like the manager is also, it's the key, the kind of the phone word is the runager, where it's like you're not just a manager, you're running this, you're doing that. And like maybe there's insecurity, and I felt it too, where it's hard to back up and observe because you start to worry like, oh, well, people, they're not seeing me like work and what they think is work, and so they think I might not be doing anything, and so it's like, are they going to still respect me? But it's like what I'm doing, I'm pulling away and observing is a job worth doing.
Well, and so like a very real thing in our business, if I'm in the field, I can't help make sure that we have calls on the board tomorrow and the next day and the next day. If I'm in the office and I'm not spending all my time dealing with customers and turning wrenches and fixing pipes and standing in shit-filled ditches, well, then I can be having conversations with the marketing team and the CSRs and everything else to help ensure that our next 3 to 5 day pipeline of work is full, right? So, That can't happen at all when I'm in the field. It also, another thing that can't happen is I can't be there to support our other plumbers. If I'm talking with a customer about them replacing their water heater, if one of my plumbers calls with a question, I can't answer that phone call. In the effort of customer service to the customer that's standing in front of me, I can't take time away and answer my plumber's phone call, right? So now the thing starts stopping. The flywheel starts slowing down simply because I'm in the field. So coming out of the field at this level is actually helping everybody out more. So
I think, like, a personal experience too is like we make TV commercials, and so it's like I've seen it before too firsthand, where say you get stuck in the field because of whatever situation, and then you've invested 25 grand in gear, so it's like there's been times where because of that, I'm sitting in the van and it's like hours gone by wasted because of just like, someone pulling you and not realizing that, like, if you stay out of like the ditches, for a few,
right.
And those, commercials, it's like you can,
yeah,
bringing in profit and stuff. So
yeah, it's about being able to kind of stand back and look at the bigger picture to really focus on where the growth is and constantly applying your leverage where it can be. I think the biggest thing that keeps, like, what I like your term that you used, your runager. That happens in all industries, and I think the guys get stuck in that position because of their pride. They want to remain the most, like, let's say you're a chef. They want to remain the best chef in their restaurant. They don't want to actually own the best restaurant. They think they do, and they tell their friends that they do. They don't actually want to. They want to be the best chef in their own restaurant. They want to stack the deck so that they're the best in their company.
Well, they could still be the best chef, own the restaurant, hire a general manager.
Well,
you could.
They're at the point
you could
where
totally hire a general manager.
Well, they want to be able to profit a lot with whatever money they're making, but they don't want to be the one that goes down with the risk if something goes down.
Yeah, they don't want to risk hiring someone else. Well, and the restaurant industry is different too because the profit margin is so tight.
Yeah,
like it's insanely tight. If you have 2 bad nights a week, you're done in 3 months.
Yeah.
It's over.
So the problem with the hiring the general manager type of thing, though, that is so rare because people that have started their own business through the blue collar type channel, they have a pride thing where they want to remain the smartest person in their company. And some of the fastest growing companies that I have been in the peripheral of, like, I've watched these companies grow. Some of these guys were great HVAC technicians. They were great HVAC salespeople. They hired a CEO. They hired a COO. They hired a CFO, right? So they knew their role. They stayed on as like sales trainer and and owner, but they hired people that are smarter than them to do the jobs that needed to get done. And a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people have too much pride and they don't want somebody at their company that's smarter than they are. And
as long as I'm making more money, I don't give a shit.
Right, I'm the opposite.
Yeah. Well, they did an interview with Elon Musk where he actually says...
That's another topic for another day because that's bullshit.
No, it's honest to God truth. I would love to get the company to a point where I'm very much so not the smartest person in the company.
No.
They interviewed Elon Musk, and he actually says he spends like 80% of his time on engineering because that's what he loves doing. So it's interesting where it's like... and the same thing with Johnny Ive. Whenever he's still at Apple, they were like he's sort of behind the design and engineering and stuff, and they were trying to have him do all these keynote presentations, and he just like they stay true to like what they like and what they do best, and they're just like, maybe you start a company, but maybe what you do best isn't like being the CEO or the CFO.
Right.
I could see you never letting go of the social media side of Smedley, though.
No, well, I have a knack for that.
Yeah, so like maybe that sort of thing is like, say you do eventually hire a CEO and a SEO, whatever it is, and you're just like, I'm always doing this because I love this stuff.
Yeah, I have a knack for the plumbing skill thing, and I have a knack for like the social media thing. But I cannot wait to get to the point to hire like a controller, a financial controller that tells me what to do with our money in the company. Like that would be freaking awesome.
Not happening.
Oh, it'll happen.
Oh, I could see it having it. It's only because it's like
no, it's the same thing. It's the same thing as an accountant. You think that you're hiring the right guy, okay? And until someone is proven, it doesn't matter. So even if you think you're hiring the right person to tell you what to do with your money, doesn't mean they're telling you the right thing to do with your money.
Well, I mean, it's always subjective, right?
And when you get there, you're talking about so much money that it can completely ruin you.
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially, I've already hired what they call a fractional CFO. So they spend a few hours a month looking at our finances and advising us. Like, we don't have enough money coming through the company to have an on-staff CEO on salary 24/7. But I have what you would consider like a fractional CFO. So they spend a fraction of their time peeking into our finances and saying like, okay, here's what you need to go there. And okay, now I know. And so we start going in that direction.
You need to pay someone to tell you what to do with your money. I'm happy to just, look in 6-8 hours a week, tell you, hey, this is what you should be doing.
For clarity, this is not because we have so much surplus money we don't know what to do with it. This is more like cleaning up all of the financial stuff in the company and helping ensure that we don't get that $47,000 tax surprise again.
30 days, they say, come to you and say you have too much office staff for the amount of money you're doing.
No, I literally went to them and said, at this moment, we are office staff heavy, but we are staffed at a level that can house. So right now we have 4 plumbers on staff. We're staffed at a level that can handle 5 to 8 plumbers. So
then you need to be at 8 plumbers.
Right. And so I went to them like with the task of get us to 5 to 8 plumbers. I have the perfect staff ready for it. And you can't have 8 plumbers without having the staff. The staff had to come first. So we have the office staff ready. Now we need to do things smart with our finances to get to the 8 plumber platform really fast. So that's our next move.
I've been looking into whenever he's ready to hire another videographer / editor. I'm starting to look at. I have a friend that I might.
He ain't going to need 2. You should be getting a raise first.
I already got one.
Oh, good for you. You're welcome.
Well,
he says you're welcome.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome, Dave.
You're going to give it to him even though it had nothing to do with him?
Of course it didn't.
I just think I got to
I've
feed his
only been
ego.
bringing it up.
Yeah,
I've only been bringing it up every fucking
I got to feed
week.
the ego. Yes, Dave, that was your idea.
Yeah.
So good, Dave.
So good, Dave.
Good.
Thank you.
He's looking at me. He's like, "You're saying it now, but I'm going to punch you in the face when we're done with this podcast."
I have no ego.
I don't want him just grabbing the mic like I'm some rock singer over here.
Austin beat me to it. He beat me to it by about 3 or 4 weeks. So
he come to you and say, "Hey, motherfucker, I'm out. Where's my money, bitch?"
No, it is.
No.
Yeah, it's just several things, you know.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have to get
Approached
into
it very tactfully.
We're an hour and 20 minutes. You better wrap it up.
All right.
We're not going to drag Austin through the mud here.
We'll do that after the podcast.
Yeah.
If you guys saw value in this show, if you liked what you're hearing in this show, please do us a favor and help share the show. Also, if you guys have any questions at all for our business, your business, anything of that regard, send us an email to askmitch@mitchsmedley.com, and we can get those emails. You can also find us on social media. We spend more time on Facebook than anything else because we're that boomer side of the millennials where we are more Facebook and less Instagram.
We're not millennials.
I know. Well,
we're Xers. I don't care. When I was 13, they were like, "You're Generation X." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, and then millennials come through and they say millennials are from like 80 and after.
Yeah, and then we graduated and they're like, "Oh no, you're a millennial." I was like, "Fuck you."
The
I'm
metrics
not a
changed. Like I don't understand. Like Generation X and Z and Y. And
they changed it. They changed it all.
You know what the next one is, right?
Start back over at A.
Who cares?
Alpha.
They're all stupid.
Alphas are 10 years old. My kids are Generation Alpha right now.
That'd be Layla's. I guess mine would be too.
Yeah.
So I guess it just
I wonder
starts
how long
over.
it'll be until they change that. And I wonder what it means. Nothing.
Ready for
It
Generation
means
P.
exactly nothing.
Yeah.
I'm a Generation P.
Yeah. Something.
So, guys, feel free to send us questions. Anybody who's messaged us or emailed us or whatever would tell you we get back to you pretty dang fast. So we love all the interaction. We love hearing your guys' success stories. It is one of the coolest things ever to watch people start their own companies and knowing that they've taken some of the advice from the show and advice from many other areas, but it's just really cool to watch other people succeed. So that's the whole foundation for this show. So until next time, guys, we will see you later.
Thanks, guys. We love you.